Number 10. Starting off our countdown at number 10 of the most notable Inferno runs is SparkMecca. SparkMecca is primarily known for player vs player, however he did want to achieve the Inferno Cape so he could PK with it. And on June 17, 2017, just 17 days after the release, SparkMecca finally was successful in achieving his Inferno Cape. Although SparkMecca had all the top end gear, including a twisted bow, an Elysian Spirit Shield, as well as Ancestral and a Kodai Wand, it still is a feat worth noting. I say this because SparkMecca was able to get the Inferno Cape before many high-tiered PVMers were, and that came as a surprise for me and to many other people as well. So congratulations, Spark. Number 9. Next on our countdown at number 9 is V the Victim. V the Victim is a Twitch streamer and really started to gain a decent following when he was streaming the Inferno Cape on the very first day. V the Victim was one of the very first players to get to wave 69. The first person was actually Dead Wilson. However, V the Victim was actually the first person to get to the healers on Zuck. I'm not entirely sure how familiar you guys are with the Inferno Cape final run. On wave 69, 3 different events happen. The first event, a Major and a Ranger spawns periodically throughout the round. On the second event, Jad spawns when Zuck is on 480 HP and he spawns with 3 different healers. The third and final event is Zuck's healers, and this occurs at 240 HP. Long story short, V the Victim was the very first person to get to the third event, which was Zuck's healers. And this is very monumental because at the time, V the Victim had 30,000 Twitch viewers, and this allowed other people, such as the very first person to achieve the Inferno Cape, Wooks, to see exactly what to do. However, don't be confused. Knowing what to do and being able to execute are 2 totally separate things when dealing with the Inferno. Number 8. Coming in at number 8 is the Inferno God himself, Turney. Turney currently holds the record for the highest kill count in the Infernal at 139. It's worth noting that he has 139 kill count because that's the kill count that it took him to get the Pet Nibbler. And the Pet Nibbler actually has a 1 in 100 drop rate, so that means he was actually a little bit unlucky on his journey to it. It's very hard to pick one particular run that Turney has had that's been impressive because many of them have been. But if I could narrow it down to a couple, the first one would be him completing the Inferno in 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 55 seconds. This remains the fastest time anybody has defeated the Inferno as of today. If I had to pick out a second accomplish, I would have to say the second one would be Turney completing the Inferno without armor. Turney completed the Inferno using 5 pieces of gear: an Elysian Spirit Shield, a Twisted Bow, a Kodai Wand, a Ceridoma Godsword, and a Blowpipe. So yeah, he was missing a Verax Helm, Armadyl Chestplate and Chain Skirt, an Ancestral Robe top and robe bottom, and so on. Number 7. Coming in at number 7 is a player named Yurga. Now it's worth mentioning right from the get-go that Yurga is the only person who still has not completed the Inferno to this date. However, his run was very notable and it's definitely worth mentioning on this countdown. So Yurga is a 1 defense peer and he remains the first and the only person as a 1 defense peer to make it to the final wave, wave 69, Zuck. So if you guys recall from earlier, there's 3 different events that happen at Zuck. Remember, the second event is when Jad spawns with 3 healers. Now Yurga made it all the way to the second event, but ended up dying to the healers. If you watch the clip closely, Yurga was at low HP and decided to use Blood Barrage on the healers in hopes of hitting and gaining some hit points back. Unfortunately for Yurga, he splashed on this hit and the healers ended up killing him. Yurga says the hardest part about Zuck is off-ticking the Ranger and the Major on the first phase, and he says when he can finally do that without a problem, he should be able to get the Inferno Cape. Number 6. Coming in at number 6 on the list is the PVM god, Wooks. So after Wooks got the Inferno Cape quite a few times, he decided to start downgrading his gear to see if he could still get it. First he did 50 mil, then he did 10 mil, and then he did 3 mil in gear with 2 mil in supplies. So that's what makes the list at number 6, is Wooks doing the Infernal with 3 mil in gear, 2 mil in supplies. So the gear that Wooks used for this was Void. He used full Void range and full Void mage, as well as an Ancient Staff and a Rune Crossbow. Seriously, my hat's off to you, Wooks. Some people can't even complete the Inferno with 2 mil in gear. You, my friend, can complete it in 3 mil in gear and 2 mil in supplies. That's insane. Number 5. Coming in at number 5 on our countdown of the top 10 notable Inferno runs is a player named Bad Ideas. Bad Ideas was the very first Iron Man to complete the Inferno. Unfortunately for us, this is the only one in the countdown that doesn't have a video showing his completion. However, a tip through Zulu actually led me to a picture of him upon completion of the Inferno, which shows that he does have a twisted bow, however he doesn't have an Elysian Spirit Shield. If you also look closely in the picture, you can see that he was using an Ancient Staff, which means that he didn't have a Kodai Wand. Furthermore, you can see that he's using an Aram's top versus having an Ancestral top. So these big differences play a major factor when doing the Inferno, so shout out to you, my friend, for getting the Inferno, being the first Iron Man to get the Inferno with the gear that you used. Number 4. Coming in at number 4 on our countdown is Furious Fast 7. Furious Fast 7 is the very first Void Peer or 42 defense peer to get the Infernal Cape, but since then he has become a Zerker, so let's just call him a Zerker for the sake of consistency. Before he got the Infernal Cape on his Zerker account, he died to Zuck over 10 times. Even to this day, Furious Fast 7 remains the lowest defensive count to have the Infernal Cape. So to get the Infernal Cape, he did have a twisted bow. However, since he was only 42 defense, he had to use Blessed Dragonhide as well as Infinity Robes. So he didn't have an Armadillo chestplate or chain skirt, and he didn't have an Elysian Spirit Shield. It's also remarkable that Furious Fast 7 had 4 brews remaining when he killed Zuck. I also want to take this time to mention that Furious Fast 7 was the very first player to achieve the Infernal Cape on a 70 defense account called Uzi vs Jad. He achieved this on July 6, 2017, and at the time he was the lowest defense holder of an Infernal Cape with a nearly flawless Zuck kill. On this account, he also did the entire Inferno with an Armadillo crossbow versus a twisted bow, which is seriously impressive. Number 3. Next on our countdown at number 3 is once again the PVM god Woox. Woox was the very first person to achieve the Infernal Cape 48 hours after release. Woox told Jagex he would get the Infernal Cape 24 hours after the release, and although he didn't, he was pretty dang close. Although Woox had the best gear, it is still seriously impressive for someone to defeat a boss of this caliber so quickly. What's even more impressive is Woox wasn't even one of the 13 content creators to go to Jagex headquarters to try out the Inferno. Therefore, he had no knowledge of the mechanics, he just simply logged in on the day of release and he learned them through watching Twitch streams as well as learning them through guess and check. And for being the very first person to beat the Inferno, Woox received an in real life Infernal Cape, 2017 RuneFest ticket and travel, as well as lifetime membership. Congratulations, brother. Number 2. Coming in at number 2 on our list of the top 10 notable Inferno runs was UIPanda. UIPanda became the very first person to defeat the Inferno with an Ultimate Iron Man account, and he did this on August 6, 2017. And honestly guys, I don't know what's more impressive, him actually defeating the Inferno or him having all this amazing gear to do the Inferno with. UIPanda didn't have a twisted bow, instead he had an Armadillo crossbow as well as an Elysian Spirit Shield. But if you look at his other gear, he was at a significant disadvantage. He used Aram's instead of Ancestral, he had a Master Wand instead of a Kodai Wand, and used a Guthan's chain skirt instead of an Armadillo chain skirt. If you watch closely in the video, towards the end you can see him tank a range hit, and he says that it was a dead click in the description of his video, but honestly, whether it was a dead click or not, he still deserves the cape. Being an Ultimate Iron Man and going through the process of collecting all the items and then having to go back and forth to do the Inferno over and over again takes a ton of time, so if anyone deserves it, it's you. Congratulations. Number 1. Well guys, you've made it to the very end of the countdown. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. You guys are probably asking yourself, what can possibly top an Ultimate Iron Man completing the Inferno? Well, coming in at number 1 of the top 10 notable Inferno runs in Old School Runescape was a player named Lake. Lake completed the Inferno without any pillars from the start. So if you guys don't understand how the Inferno works, basically at the start of every wave, 3 Nibbler appear and they go straight for the pillars. The goal is at the start of any wave to barrage the Nibblers as soon as possible to freeze them and make sure that they don't destroy the pillars. If they attack the pillars excessively, that pillar will die. Basically, the pillars become extremely important in the later waves as it allows a player to go behind them and off-tick different monsters as well as strategize which ones to attack first. What happens is after wave 66, the pillars are automatically destroyed. However, Since Lake defeated the Inferno without any pillars from the start, that means he let the Nibblers kill all the pillars at wave 1. It's so insane for Lake to defeat the Inferno without any pillars because that means that he has to react very quickly. He can't hide behind any of the pillars to strategize, and furthermore he can't off-tick any monsters. What truly shows how amazing this is as of today, Lake remains the only player in game to defeat the Inferno without using any pillars, starting from wave 1. Wooks has attempted this, he's gotten to wave 69, which means he's actually completed waves 1 through wave 66 without the pillars, which is the only waves the pillars are on, but he actually died on wave 69, and to this day he still hasn't fully completed the Inferno without pillars. In closing, Lake's achievement is absolutely insane. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any future top 10 videos, leave them down below. Thanks, peace.